Awesome.
There we go. And let's start with introduction. So, Harry, why don't you introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself, and we'll get it going.
Awesome. So first of all, thank you for all joining. Really do appreciate it. I'm really excited to walk you through this presentation on, why artists should curate playlists. You've been hearing us going on about how we find music and why we believe playlists are great, but I'll give you some more context to that in a second. But I'm Harry. I've been running daily playlists since 2019. And yeah, so my role at Daily Playlist is really running the day to day, making sure working across the development, the strategy, the operations, the product, the marketing. I've really got my fingers in all the pies. You've probably got many an email from me over the past years. Actually, funnily enough, like I was talking to someone in a club and like who I knew through music, and he was like, "Wait, you're Harry from like Daily Playlist. You've been like spamming my inbox for like the past like 3 years." I was like, "Yeah, that's me, mate." But yeah, so that's me, and that's what I do, and that's my role at Daily Playlist.
Awesome. Uh, Everyone, I'm Bo here at over at Symphony. I'm head of customer success here, so I deal a lot with uh, intros, just talking with artists, making sure our product aligns with our users, our artists, making sure they're any feature requests that come in. I do a lot with making the product better in terms of fixing bugs, and helping roadmap out new products. And one of our newest product releases was our grow playlist followers, which is why we've kind of done this collab. And I'm really excited for me and Harry to kind of go through the ins and outs of like why of course you should curate playlists, and then how you're going to do it and how you're going to have success. So without further ado, Harry, why don't you take us away, and like let's just let's give these people the juice.
Let's give them the juice, mate. Love it. Awesome. So just to give you an insight in what we're going to be covering today. So first of all, going through why we believe playlists are an essential asset for marketing for all artists, for all curators, for all labels. They're very versatile and, should be a part of every marketing campaign. We'll then briefly touch upon the challenges that artists face, I guess like bringing the reality to what good playlist curation is all about, and what skills you need and you will develop through doing this. Then I guess as a solution to the challenges, we'll be introducing Symphony, the tools that they have to help with playlist growth, especially. And then at the end, we'll leave some room for a Q&A. Answer any questions that you guys may have. Happy to answer anything and everything around playlisting. And I'm sure Bo's also very happy to answer anything around playlisting, ad growths, and anything we can give you guys input on. So, why curate playlists? I have broken this down into 6 key points that I see in how playlists act as an essential asset for marketing. I won't go through into the depth right here, right now. You can see there's quite a few slides that cover this. But just to give you an idea, for me, they help you build your artist brand and your artist story. You can control your own streams. They act as a container for the artists you want to be associated with. They help you and are one of the only ways for you to influence the recommendation system on Spotify, which is extremely powerful. They can act as a wider marketing funnel as well when it comes to advertising, which we'll get into. And then also it's very important as it is also a way to monetize and bring in some revenue and bring in a sort of self-sustaining way to consistently promote your own music. So, building your brand and artist story. So one of the most simple ways is that yourself as an artist curating a playlist is a very easy way to show who you're about, who your influences are, where do you come from, what is your scene, who are your peers. It's a really nice way, especially if you're linking your playlist to your artist account on Spotify. It's a really nice way to give a lot of context about who you are and where you come from. It's there's a lot of ways to do this, but playlisting is definitely one way to easily do it. However, for me, where playlisting holds a lot of value is that you can easily develop a brand that is akin to your artist profile, meaning that your playlisting brand can be a secondary brand that can help that your sort of art, your music can live within. So for example, if I'm artist A, it's a lot harder for me to convince people to like when you're promoting your music directly. Whereas if there's like a more neutral brand promoting your music within their like playlist, it's a good way to act as a funnel to get people in and listening to your music, I guess, a bit more slyly, which is really beneficial. Also, as you as an artist, it also gives you sort of more channel, like own channels. So, for example, a lot of playlist curators, they also have Instagram pages, they have TikTok pages. And the more channels that you own and operate, the more beneficial it is for you as an artist because that is less reliance on other channels to help support your music. The second one is controlling your own streams. I think it's very obvious at this point, but a lot of people here probably do rely on external playlists, obviously through platforms such as daily playlists to help drive their streams. Here, the point is that it doesn't have to always be down to other curators to support your music on playlists. Like every person who has a Spotify account can create a playlist and grow that playlist, right? And there's very limited ways to control your streams and control how your music is perceived and where your music is placed within like popular playlists. So, it's just one of the most obvious ways to be able to control the streams and to take some ownership of your marketing channels. So here, in terms of the container of artists for association, here there's like limited ways to, really influence the types of listener profiles that you get associated with. So by that, I mean that every person who comes in to listen to your music, they have a listening behavior profile attached to them. This basically means this person listens to artist A, artist B, artist C, artist D. Obviously, you can't control who the people who listen to. However, through curating a playlist and through positioning yourself with other artists you want to be associated with and promoting it smartly, this is one of the only ways that you can really coherently influence this, and you can actually measure the results of doing this. So, from this sends signals to Spotify saying, hey, this person is listening to artist A. They also like listening to artist B. So, I'm going to recommend them to other people who have similar profiles to this listener. What that actually means is influencing the recommendation system. When you're thinking about the algorithm on Spotify, it's really can be broken down a lot. Like it can be very daunting if you don't really know much about it. But one thing that makes it a lot less scary is that it's simply a way, it's a what's the word? Hang on, let me just check my notes here. It's it's a discovery tool and it's a way for users to be satisfied. So Spotify want to feed people the music that they think they're gonna like the most. So, being able to influence the recommendation system or the Spotify algorithm and through playlisting and through creating your own playlists is an extremely strong tactic to use within your marketing campaign. And through this, you can then get put into like the algorithm playlists such as Discover Weekly, Release Radar, specific Spotify artist radios, and other algorithmic playlists. You can even, you don't have to have like a great analytical skills to see where you're placed as well and where Spotify associates with you, like who is Spotify associates you with. So for example, this is Troye Sivan's Spotify profile. If you go into your fans also like as an artist, you'll see where Spotify places you. These are sort of easy and top level ways to see what cluster, as they call them, you're sort of placed within. So you can measure once you've curated your first profile, first playlist, and you've chosen the artist you want to be associated with. As you're running ads and as you're testing this, you can really test the effectiveness by seeing how your fans also like develop, meaning that you can see how you're sort of traversing the clusters of Spotify. And then if you want to go even deeper, there are tools such as Music Tomorrow, which is an amazing agency um, who can actually provide a lot of information on who is in specific clusters. So if you really want to go deep into curating playlists and really want to go deep into positioning on Spotify, using a platform like Music Tomorrow will allow you to see, hey, I can see as Quiet Love, who is one of our members of Daily Playlist. You can see that he's associated with the bedroom R&B cluster, the hook beat cluster, and you can sort of see the similarity scores based on an audio analysis. And then you can actually pick and choose where you go. Then you can promote them through ads through platforms such as Symphony, and then you can really use it as like a very black and white strategic channel to again just to position yourself on Spotify positions and sort of aim to trigger the algorithm within certain groups of artists. So this is obviously when you're going when a lot of artists are setting up Spotify campaigns or third-party playlisting campaigns, you know, a lot of the aim is to trigger the algorithm. I think it's a very broad term to say trigger the algorithm because there's a lot more that goes into it than just like getting on the right playlist. But if you are an artist that you can control through smart advertising and smart curation who you are associated with on Spotify, then you are like giving yourself a much better chance, right? Also, if you have that data on like who your playlist is sort of based around and the results in terms of how your profile is developed because of yourself curating, you also open up like networking channels with other curators, right? So playlist trading is a massive part of the Spotify curator community. So if you have a playlist that is valuable, you know, you can start getting into even better playlists with curators who take it as seriously as you and have the data to back it up. And then, you know, eventually you've just got this whole network where you know, all based off just playlisting. And then it just keeps on growing and growing and growing. You can create multiple playlists based on multiple clusters on Spotify. You can go in and say, even if you went here and say, hey, you know, I really want to be associated with the people who listen to Sabrina Carpenter. You can go into that, see who also, what other artists like are similar to Sabrina Carpenter, start building around that, really trying to balance it out with the metrics you can see on here or like on Chartmetric, for example, having a balance of up and coming artists or established artists, and then feeding this all the information you get into Symphony for the targeting, then, you know, I think it's a really sustainable way to and really smart way to grow your Spotify profiles, and also one of the only ways to control this type of information. A lot of the time, third-party playlisting, you know, and our communities are only as strong as the curators within them. So for us, the more people who curate in smart ways and more of the artists who start to curate and start to build their brands, the whole third-party playlisting community gets stronger. That means the results of when you do then make submission campaigns, the results get even better because more people are getting onto better playlists, more people are educated about what is a good playlist. So yeah, I think I went down a bit of a rabbit hole there. But in short, I think this is probably in terms of data and in terms of how to affect like how to curate for positioning. Like, you know, there's definitely easy ways to start. And for me personally, it's one of the biggest benefits for artists curating or anyone to curate their own playlist. Here, this is pulled from a report from Your Music Marketing and Bridge Audio, but it's an example of like, you know, how many streams you can get from algorithmic playlists after you've been positioned in those correct places, right? And these are all passive streams, you know, you get your initial streams from the, you know, the funnel and the people coming in and listen to your music on your playlist. But then because they have the right listening profiles and Spotify can start associating you with the right customers of theirs, you can then start getting the passive algorithmic playlisting streams, which can be extremely powerful. I mean, they say this in the report, which is a free report, by the way, for anyone who's interested in reading about this. It's all about the, yeah, how to activate the recommendation system on your track. But this was with a budget of around $700, which was mainly targeted towards Chloe's fans, not even building her own playlist. So if you can, you know, combine this D to F like sort of approach and having a more like external facing like funnel such as playlisting and having these secondary brands that can be acting as funnel to your own artist brand, you know, the results can be extremely powerful when the stars align. Obviously, it is more complex than I'm making it out to be. There are more They call them more filters that go into the recommendation system. But in terms of being able to control listener behavior and who you're associated with artist wise, this is one of the strongest and main ways to do so. Um, Also, this brings me into the next point. It opens a wider marketing funnel, you know. Playlist ads introduce your music identity first by targeting a community or scene. So me as an artist, let's say I release indie rock, you know, we'll talk about indie. When I'm setting up an ad, you know, as long as I've got my creative right and I've got the targeting right, I've still got to hope that whoever watches that ad for like those first seconds feels, you know, engaged enough with the song, not just to to actually go through to Spotify, and to then listen to it, to save it. Where, you know, like the psychology of trying to convince someone to do that within 3 seconds, you know, is very, very hard to do. And you know what playlisting does, and why I also believe playlists are an essential part of music marketing, is that with playlists you're not promoting yourself, right? You're promoting your scene, you're promoting the community around your playlist, meaning that there's just a wider funnel. You can like be very clever, you know, having instant tagline of like, do you love indie punk? Like, or do you love these bands? And it could be just a list of the top bands that are in your playlist, and it's instantly something that the person who's going through the ad, they can relate to. So you're not having to play that sort of I don't have a way to describe it, but you're not playing that game of like, hey, I hope that they like the music and we can engage them within those first seconds for them to click through. You can start with something much more relatable, get them into the playlist, and then when they're in the playlist, you can place your music into number two, number three, number four spot. And then they should discover your music that way. And you will then also be associated with these big names that they also know. And then obviously if these ads are successful and you set up your pixel correctly, this is a great data center for retargeting, which I know I'm not going to step on Bo's toes. He's going to get into all of this. Symphony
It's
help with
music. It's a
simplifying.
symphony to my ears right now, is what you're
There we
talking
go,
about right now. That's what I like. Symphony.
mate. There we go. But this is extremely powerful and it's an extremely smart way just to get, um, data on who could be potential fans. And I think this particular aspect of playlisting, we do hear a lot of people talking about the algorithmic side, the positioning side, you know, the branding side, but not many people talk about this side, which is just using it as like a smart way for data collection, which sounds maybe a bit too marketeer and it's not so creative, but your music can massively benefit from this because you have instantly, when you then set up the campaign for your music, you already have the data for the lookalike audiences, right? And you have the starting point where you're like, hey, I know all the people who interacted on this ad for this indie rock playlist. They might like my music, and I can then retarget them. I can do this, I can do that. I think it's just a much smarter way and a much more cost-effective way. I mean, Bo, I don't know if you're going to get into it, but we were talking just before everyone joined about the costs of running a playlisting campaign versus, the returns of running like an individual single campaign, for example. Obviously, a lot depends on the creatives, but for on average, it takes around like $200 to $300 to get 1,000 followers on a playlist, which then can equate to equal streams, more streams, maybe a little bit less. But if you're spending $200, $300 on just like initial like ads for your single, I feel like that's a lot harder to get the return on those numbers, right? You're not going to get 1,000 saves with $300.
That's exactly the point, and I'll touch on this a little bit too when I go, but it allows you to have so many other things happen because like you bring in people and with the power of Symphony, I'll show you the specific tool because you're driving people to your streams, you're giving them a community to be a part of, a playlist to be a part of. They'll go back to that playlist. I share playlists with my friends all the time. Maybe they'll listen to your song. And again, it's just a way for you to, drive different things all by using this one playlist. And I think that's very well put with what you're kind of talking about.
Yeah, so I did, yeah, graphic design is my passion, as you can tell. Yeah, this is, I think, the easiest way to say it. Like, you have your playlist marketing funnel on the left, you promote your playlist via social ads, and your target group is fans of a genre, fans of a scene. On the right, you've got your release market funnel, and then you promote it via social ads the same. Your target group will most likely be the same, but the objective, is someone who's a fan of you rather than a fan of the scene. You is like one, a scene is like a whole hand, right? So you just have more shots in the chamber. Is my take on this, and again, it's a great way to get data for retargeting. And then the discovery is a lot more organic, and they might feel like they found a gem because they found your music within this playlist that they found on Spotify, whereas they don't know it's you because you've created this secondary brand to promote the playlist. They don't know it's you actually behind this. So it becomes a lot more organic, and there's just a lot of benefits to it. And then getting onto it, monetization. So I just mentioned it takes $300 ish to grow a playlist to 1,000 followers if you do it correct and do it with the likes of Symphony who can help you optimize on your costs. But when you do get to 1,000 followers for a platform like Daily Playlist, you can then qualify to monetize. We do have other criteria, but 1,000 followers is the first qualifying one where we can then at least consider your application. Um, the smartest thing about this is that the earnings from submissions can go straight back into ads. It becomes like a self-sustaining loop. And then suddenly that initial $200, $300, you could even be making money to reinvest into your production, into other marketing avenues. But you then have a consistent self-sustaining loop where you're getting data, you're testing, you're seeing the results, and you're also helping people within your scene. I know some artists particularly don't feel comfortable with charging other artists, but my argument for curators is always that they've put expertise, they put their expertise into this playlist. They've been investing their money into the growth,
Yep.
and they've been extremely targeted in who they've actually been promoting the playlist to. If you can sort of prop up your scene through these playlists and it's more of a contribution, like, hey, please consider me, I've got this song you might like, here's 150 to $1 or $2 to or sorry, $2 is one credit on Daily Playlist. So here's one credit for considering the submission. If you don't want to place it, that's fine, but then you can give them some friendly feedback. But if you place them on it, you're helping them out as well. And their money then goes back into the playlist. So they're actually paying for their own promotion in a very roundabout way. So this is why I feel like monetization in this space is actually quite healthy because it helps it grow. And when it's done in the right ways for the right reasons, it really is sort of everyone trying to help out each other. And again, as an artist, your money just goes back into the promotion of you onto that playlist. Also,
100%.
there's no exclusivity in third-party playlisting right now. So you can be on daily playlist, and we would encourage you to be on Summit Hub, to be on Groover, to be on like our other competitors, right? Reason being is because the more money you get, the more you reinvest back into the playlist, the healthier they're going to be, the more data you're going to get, the more streams you're going to get, and the bigger your profile is going to grow in a very smart way. So monetization obviously is a bit after the start, but once you hit monetization, it becomes a lot more self-sufficient, which is amazing. And there's not many ways in terms of marketing in any way that can be self-sustainable, especially when you're spending money. So it's very unique in that sense. So, some of the, if you review 100 submissions daily playlist, that's $1,200. That's not a small amount of money to reinvest into your marketing. And that's from just a $300 start. The math
Yep.
kind of checks out, right? On how this can be a beneficial return for marketing for you as an artist and also for any other initiatives you have as an artist. It could be helping out with buying merch, X, Y, Z. So I think it's a great starting point to diversify your revenue streams. So that's a lot of the benefits. So, just to quickly recap, because I think I was getting into the groove of it around the start point. But building the brand, you can develop your own artist story, you can tell your story, who you are, where you came from, who your peers are, who your community are, but also being able to build a secondary brand that's not so heavy on your artist brand is extremely valuable. The more channels that you can own and you can operate, the better. You're paying for submission campaigns, you're paying for influencer campaigns, you're paying for all these people who own the channels. why not create the challenge yourself? Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it, and it can be also beneficial for many people, not just yourself. You control your own streams. We've gone over that quite a bit. The container of artists, so being who you're associated with, who you're placed with on Spotify, and how you feed the recommendation system. Opening a wider marketing funnel, and then also the monetization. They're the 6 key points for me on why I believe all artists should be curating a playlist. At least one. When you get comfortable, make more channels, make more brands, just expand it. It's like, again, it's all down to how much time and effort you can put into it at the end of the day. But the more you have and the more channels that are owned and operated as an artist, the better. Then you'll see an effect on your release. You'll see the results on your music and the amount of fans you're getting. So, we just touched upon it there and how it's algorithmic boost, data for growth, and fan and artist connections. However, there are challenges. One, it takes a lot of time to grow and to curate. You might not know, it might not be so apparent, but once you hit the point of monetization, going through submissions, for example, can be a very lengthy process. Obviously, you get paid for it, so it's fine. You're happy to put in the time, but it does take a lot of time off your clock. And especially also if you're growing it strategically and really, diving into who should be on the playlist, where they should be positioned, that just takes a lot of time and also strategizing, all of it. It's not going to just happen overnight, and it's not going to just be something that's like one day to the next. It's going to be over the course of a month too that you see your playlist and the results coming in. One of the biggest challenges I think across the whole music industry for any artist, any label at the moment is content. Everyone loves content and and I think the reliance on content is only ever going to grow, 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 grow. And the bottom line is the better content you have, the better results you get. It's not something you can really skimp out on. Having a nice cover image, having a nice Instagram page, having like more importantly, having good assets for ads. It's all extremely important and will feed into the results of running campaigns and the success you'll have curating. So that can put people off, and it is very hard, and there's not necessarily one particular easy answer or easy solution to this. And maybe Bo can give some insights into that a bit later on. I know you got a bit on content. And then performance marketing, is can be very difficult. It can be very overwhelming, especially if you're using the native dashboards provided by Meta, for example. I know it took me, I'm still getting used to it myself, even though I've been using it for almost like 10 years now, like running ads. I feel like it's just there's just an overwhelming amount of data and options. A little guidance. You can let the AI take over, but then you don't know if the AI is doing something that's correct. It's an absolute minefield. But there's fortunately Symphony
Yes,
exists, and
sir.
it makes a lot of this a lot more simple.
Awesome. Well, Harry, that was it, incredible. I'm so happy that we partnered with you because so many points that you made is stuff that I've talked to specific that I'll say like to artists themselves. I'll be like, "Hey guys, like you should, this is a benefit. You can join like, playlist curation networks and, own your destiny almost with kind of curating your own music and creating your own
Hmm.
playlist and not have to rely on other people's playlists as much if you have your own playlist and also make, side monetization." And, I think you did a really good job of touching on all those points on why an artist would want to do this and how it's beneficial. And now it's time to talk to you guys about, how you can kind of use Symphony. We're an all-in-one marketing platform. But before I go into it a little bit, I just want to tell anyone in the chat right now, if you have any questions, feel free to throw it in the Q&A. We'll leave 10-15 minutes at the end to talk to answer any questions. So if you had any questions while Harry was talking, any questions while I'm talking, feel free to throw it there. You can throw it in the chat too, but I know the chat's not moving too much, but I just want to make sure that everyone gets their questions answered. So always direct you to the the Q&A chat. But without further ado, let's talk about how to actually grow your playlist. So Symphony, we're an all-in-one marketing platform. We have a bunch of different tools for artists to, grow themselves, increase music streams. Harry had he is a graphic designer, Shirley, of course, and he had the two funnels, right? Your own individual marketing funnel where maybe you'll have a meta ad to your DSP where it plays your song, right? And then you'll also have your playlist funnel where it's very similar, but and again, guys, I know I introduced myself at the beginning, but again, I do this all the time where I talk with artists every day. I've talked to probably over 2,000 artists in the past year. I've been with Symphony for since we were in beta, 400 users to where we're at now. And again, this feature we have actually only released about a month or two ago, and it's honestly one of my go-to features I talk about with people because of all the benefits Harry listed. I'm going to kind of talk about them again. But when you get onto Symphony, and you decide to use our marketing tools and you want to do it to grow your playlist, you'll go with the grow playlist followers campaign type. So what is it? We use our grow playlist followers marketing tool where you can drive users to your playlist using highly targeted meta ads. So like Harry was saying, meta ads, 10 years he's been in it and it's still confusing. With Symphony, the benefit is that you set up your Facebook settings one time and you'll never have to touch meta ads again. It's Symphony was actually created it's our first campaign type was increased music streams, which was when our CEO was, a CTO of an agency. He was like, we spend too much time creating the ads themselves, the whole point was to keep people from having to use meta ads, and now we're at a point or being on meta to create them and have a way where we can use that data that you guys have as artists and create them in a much simpler, easier, and more powerful way. So what does this ad do, right? We'll use these meta ads to target interest groups on Facebook, then take them to your curated playlist. I'm an old head. I still say Facebook and Meta, but we'll take the highly targeted interest on Meta and use those and put them into your campaign without you having to set up any custom audiences. And I'll show this to you on, I think, either the next slide or the slide after, where a lot of that custom building out custom audience stuff we take care of in the background. That's the majority of what our AI does. It's just machine learning that looks at your audience data and creates custom audiences and lookalike audiences so that, again, your ad is being shown to the right people. And when do you want to use it? To grow playlists and streams within a playlist. So we'll go to the next slide. It's a very simple setup on Symphony. So the one thing that you guys that is the hardest part about using Symphony is the Facebook setup. And what I was really excited about that Harry talked about was he talked to you guys about the pixel. We have, Symphony uses pixels. We have the ability to connect Facebook's conversion API to Symphony. How we do this is when you start a playlisting campaign, we'll automatically create a web page for your playlist link, right? Where you can click Spotify. And we're actually able to track those conversions. So when I show you guys some results and examples, we can actually not only track the cost per click, which again is an important stat, right? But we can track the cost per conversion, which is very closely associated with how many people will usually follow your campaign. And it's just a much better way to track efficacy. And like I said, again, this campaign type in and of itself, if you're an artist trying to grow your own streams as well within a playlist, I don't know if you mentioned this, Harry, but which is really powerful. If you're not running any other ads but this ad to grow your own playlist, and I'll explain, how you as an artist, you can actually, when someone clicks your ad and clicks listen now and goes to your playlist, it actually opens up your song within the playlist. You can track how many streams come directly from that ad because of that. So it's just, again, another way to track an efficacy of a stream growth campaign as well. So in terms of the setup, right? So you click grow playlist and you select whichever playlist you want to promote. You can promote any playlist on Symphony. It doesn't matter whether it's if you set up your Spotify artist account on Symphony, it doesn't have to be on your Spotify account. It can be your own playlist. It can be an editorial playlist. It doesn't matter. So long as you have that share link and it's public, you can promote it. But the benefit that we do instantly is we have the ability for you guys to select an anchor song or autoplay a track to start. This is, I think, one of the most powerful parts because if you're an artist and let's say you create a playlist for yourself, you put yourself at, maybe position number 3, maybe position number 7, 25, 34, etc., right? You can select any song of the first, I think, like 50 or 100 songs on that playlist and have it autoplay that song within, and then it opens up the playlist itself when they open the Spotify app. And that means not only are you driving people to that playlist, but you're driving people to your song in the playlist that you're trying to grow. So you get to double dip on that on that ad because again, it's going to your song, and if your goal is to drive your playlist, it drives the song and that playlist at the same time. So again, I have on the, you'll see guys on the third one, on the third bottom left one, you'll see advanced settings, activate Symphony conversions for 4 to 6 times results. I'm so happy again that Harry mentioned that pixel. This is one of the most important parts of the setup. It again allows us to track, even better in terms of, audience data. It allows us to track, campaign stats at a deeper level. That cost per conversion, that's whenever I talk to anyone about, how to make sure that your campaign is doing well, what to look at, cost per click, but cost per conversion is honestly the most important stat. And of course, the actual impact of making sure that, people are following your playlist, which we also show you on Symphony as well. And I'll show you an example of that. Now, in terms of simplicity, right? So for someone to build a campaign like a Symphony campaign will custom make for you, it'll probably take 2 hours compared to 10 minutes to 5 minutes on Symphony, depending how much you have experience setting up the campaign on Symphony, but usually about 10 minutes. You'll see right here in the bottom right box, your ads will target these audiences. Now we have a couple different ways that we target audiences. Off the bat, you'll see in those two purple bubbles, your existing fans and fans similar to your existing fans. These are custom lookalike audiences that we put into every ad campaign that you make. We create between 200 to 500 different custom audiences that we add into your ad sets. There's actually almost a third bubble. My artist that I was using didn't actually have enough monthly listeners to show it, but we actually can also track your genre on Spotify as well and cross-reference it with Meta's database, so we can actually target people who are fans of your genre. So let's say if I was a hip hop artist from Maine, and Spotify deemed that as my genre, that would show up here as well. And we just automatically insert that into your campaign as well. Another benefit is you'll see down here, it says search for additional interests. We have two other types of targeting that you can do. Harry did a really good job of showing you how you can find artists that are similar to you. You can actually target those audiences as well. You could, if I were to type in Jay-Z, I would pull up Jay-Z, I would add him. Symphony automatically adds your artist, the artist that you type in, and a few more. We usually suggest between 5 to 8, but again, you can automatically target any artist you want, and you can actually target interests. So you can target people who are into rock as a general genre, people who are into rap as a general genre, instead of just the artist as well. So you have multiple different ways that you actually can target. And again, it takes 3 to 4 clicks to get it all set up.
This is honestly like when I've used Symphony in the past. So I use Symphony as well for my own playlist, and the minefield that is the meta interest library where you're trying to find okay like which artists can I like actually target on meta, like what interests actually are there. It's really hard to digest, to dive into that information, to know what's right, and to know how many interests or how little interest you should have. So this is probably one of my favorite features of Symphony is how simple like you guys make it from into entering the reference artist and then pulling the targets and the interest from that. That is the biggest thing, and I think the biggest maybe learning curve for people who are new to digital marketing, setting up ads, to sort of like learn about. And yeah, the way that you guys simplify it, I don't know any other platform that does it on the same level. So honestly, I can't pick it up enough.
Appreciate that. And again, it's really like your guys are an artist. Your focus on, of course, making is the great music that you want, but then you also have to learn, how to be a curator, how to be an ads manager, right? And it's a lot to handle because there are a lot of it's not music, it's the music business. And if you want to create a sustainable career, you have to understand that part. And there are a lot of different ways. So the ways you can make it as easy as possible and give yourself a lot of revenue streams That's why, again, you got to go with whatever cuts down in as much time as possible, so you guys can focus on what you truly enjoy, which is making music, and being an artist. So I want to show you, and Harry talked about it too. I love it. I don't even say the 5 second rule anymore, which is like the classic ad person thing. So I say the 3 second rule. You have, it might even be two, like I
I
have
was going to say it's even
ADHD.
less, man.
Yeah, it's like,
We've all been doom scrolling, right? And just like next, 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 and
Think
then
think think about you. You have to think about yourself. How many ads do you pass a day that you just don't care about, right? So you have to instantly grab someone's attention. So I grabbed a really dope asset. I turned down the volume a little bit so I don't blow out anyone's speakers. But this is one of our best performing assets that someone used on Symphony, and I just want to show you kind of what it looks like to create a really well performing ad asset on Symphony. And again, and me and Harry were talking about this a little earlier, it doesn't have to be as cool as this, and can be music video cut downs. Again, the goal is to just grab someone's attention as instantly as possible. So I'll just play it real quickly. So basically what he was trying to do here is he's just showing a bunch of different cut downs of different artists. Do you like Chapel Roan? Do you like the other bands that were there? I kind of forgot. But again, it's basically a way to, I'll just play it one more time. Yep, dig sunny indie songs. Well, this is the playlist for you. And again, like Harry said earlier, it's really a psychological thing. People are get
Mhm.
thrown ads all the time about buying this, listen to this. Playlists perform very well. Playlist ads specifically perform very well on Symphony because of the psychological aspect of, you're supporting a community, it's music discovery. It's less like I want to follow this artist and more like, okay, this is just some dude giving me a dope, I like Sunshine. I'm gonna go give it a
Let's
listen.
stick it on. Yeah.
All I can do is follow. So I want to talk about best practices a little bit. I kind of touched on it, and I'll give myself a few more minutes so we have time for Q&A. But Harry touched on this a lot too. Creating artist best hits versus a mix of artists as a playlist, depending on if you're a curator versus an own artist. Both work really well. If you're an artist, honestly, you might want a mix of artists, again, to trigger that algorithm that Harry talked about. If you're creating general playlists that you want to just promote and grow to be a part of the daily playlist network and be a part of that community, then artist best hits work a lot too. A lot of artists are doing it as well, especially the bigger artists. But it's like top five Gucci Mane songs, top five Metro Boomin. I'm sorry, guys. I listen to a lot of rap, so that's usually my go-to reference. But stuff, our playlist like that. Creating multiple playlists to grow. Again, we have you'll see, as you guys can see, Indie Summer Sunshine playlist. He created actually 10 different playlists. This is and they all perform pretty well, but this is his best performing one. So you guys, give yourself options, give yourself a lot of there's a big difference between indie summer sunshine and indie winter darkness, right? So give yourself room to grow and make multiple ones. Another big one, assigning a mix of bigger and smaller artists to make your playlist to help grow your playlist algorithmically. This is an important part too, especially if you are an artist creating a vibes playlist. Having a lot of times people see too many smaller artists and they assume that it's not gonna. You want people to actually listen to it. People listen to popular music. Having popular music inside your playlist gives it a much higher chance to grow, along with again, more independent artists as well, but having a nice solid mix. If it skews one way too much, if you only have your songs and it's a bunch of like, top 40, of the biggest rappers or biggest indie rock stars, they're going to be like, why is this one random person in here? But if you have a good mix, it feels a lot more like discovery. And again, popular music is popular for a reason. And it, of course, think like a curator. What music do people want to listen to? So think about it. What do you like to listen to? Put it in there. Lastly, I want to go through, simple analytics and management, right? So, instead Facebook, like Harry was saying, man, it'll throw every type of analytic at the door at you in terms of how your campaign doing, a bunch of different boost this, boost that. We keep it simple here. You'll see your budget, your campaign length, and it's funny. Don't get don't worry too much about that $2,000 88-day campaign. This campaign actually started out as a $200 20-day campaign. our minimum spend on Symphony is $10 a day for your playlist. So what he saw in the first few days is that, as you guys can see, he had conversions enabled, so which allowed him to see his clicks to his playlist as well as his ad clicks. So he saw in the first few days that he had a really low cost per click and a really low cost per conversion, and that triggered him to say, "Hey, this is a playlist campaign worth investing into." So what he did was he increased the budget, he extended the amount of days the campaign length, and he let it ran. As you can see as well in the bottom, we show you impact stats. So as people are saving your playlist, as people are following your Instagram, you can connect different social media accounts to Symphony as well to see, as your campaign is growing, are people following you? Are people following your playlist? Again, which is the most important stat. Um, and again, we'll show you all the regular stuff: reach, CPM, impressions, ad shares. We also show you a bunch more that I'm not showing you. Again, these are all real in-time stats as people begin to save and follow your playlist. We have a bunch. You can edit, again, like this guy extended his budget, he extended his end date. You can edit your locations in Symphony. You have a lot of power so that you can do the quality control stuff that you would do normally on Meta, but without having to actually be there. And if you're sharing it with people, if you have a manager, you can easily download PDF reports to send it to see how your stats are doing. And again, never having to touch Facebook ads, which is a great part of it. Other than that, thank you. And again, we're here to answer a question now. So I'll cut the screen share real quickly and we'll get to answering.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Bill. With the QA, should we just go from the first ones that came in and then take it from there? If anyone has any more questions that are coming in, stick them in the chat and we'll get around to as many as possible, pretty much all of them, I reckon. So starting off with Max, do you have any advice or life hacks on how to get into Spotify curated playlists? I follow all the rules, but never get in it, neither as many of my musician friends. If you're following all, there's no life hacks, to be honest, at the end of the day. Um, it's always that it's human to human, right? It's like you're sending your submission to another person, so it's always down to them, and there's no hacks as such for them to convince them that it is a fit for their playlist. The only thing you can really do on your side is the due diligence and the real precise thinking. Is my song a genuine fit for this playlist to give yourself the best chance? I know you've probably heard this a million and one times. I know everyone preaches this, and it might get actually very, a bit annoying to hear because you might get disheartened that, hey, I'm following all this advice. Unfortunately, as it's human to human, this is what you can, like, one of the only things you can do. However, I'm going to spin this in a positive right way. If you feel like you're not getting anywhere with playlist submissions, I would honestly suggest curating your own playlist. That sounded like a very cheesy like tag and like promotion, but I'd honestly really back that. Spend some time, spend some investment in curating your playlist, because then you are the one who has the control of the streams, the positioning, the people you put in the list. Suddenly you and your friends are represented in the playlist that you own. If they make playlists as well as you and they're all promoting it at the same time, suddenly you might have 4 or 5 playlists which are like going up in 1,000 streams, and that could be like hundreds of streams coming from that, or hundreds of listeners, which could equate to thousands of streams. And then the whole, you guys as a group can control, again, the position. It depends how strategic you want to go. You can control the positioning of your own music by really being careful on who each one of you select in the playlist and the groupings. And it can sort of really, as you can tell, I'm kind of spiraling with the answer, but the growth potential when you control the playlist and you have people in your network who want to support you and also control the playlist, it's amazing. And you shouldn't have to always rely on other people who own these playlists, because it is unfair, right? But there's also nothing stopping you from curating your own playlist and you getting together with your community and your peers to grow playlists as well. And this is something, again, I can't emphasize how much I believe in playlisting, and especially, again, not to go off on a tangent, you look at Spotify and you look at the changes they're making, like AI generated playlists, and they got the smart shuffle functions now and the day list and everything along those lines. Like, the only control that we will have as artists, as human curators, is to curate our own and to promote our own. And, and then from curating and being strategic about growing these playlists, you then influence these day lists. You influence these AI created playlists because the AI is getting their data from who listens to similar artists to who's in this playlist. And then, there's like crazy, I don't know if you've ever seen cluster mapping on Spotify, but it's crazy on like how much it spirals out and you see how artists are connected. But yeah, I know that again, as I said, I was trying not to spiral out into like a massive answer there, but I hope I gave you some clarity, Max. Bottom line is create your own. Cool. Simon got a few questions in here. So a few creators and daily playlists are genres listed that don't fit into their playlist. For example, if I search for hardstyle or happy hardcore, I get playlists that don't have anything to do with the music on the playlist, e.g. funk. Is this a bug? Okay, so this is an issue with human curation. I think human curators will always make mistakes. There's no black and white definition to genres. So we are actually in the background, we're reevaluating how we do definitions of playlists, how we do definitions of genres, how we match music to these playlists, because the positioning is the most important thing, as you can probably tell. And that is what I feel very passionate about and what the Daily Playlist team feel passionate about. So human element is 100% important. However, there needs to be a level of scientific guidance, I think, on matching. And also it's just not a one-to-one or one size fits all type of approach, unfortunately, which does cause a lot of issues, especially on a product end, especially on the artist end, as you rightly mentioned. So yeah. I mean, unless this was purely a technical bug where like you're actually not seeing anything that's like marked as happy hardcore. If so, please reach out to info@dailyplaylist.com. But if it is about like more about the interpretation of the music within these playlists that are marked as happy hardcore, I mean, I think it's just down to human interpretation of what they think is, attached to that music style and which artists are involved in those genres. So I hope that answers question number one. Let me go into question number two. Have you planned to add more genres? Yeah, honestly, man, as I said, reach out to us at info@dailyplaylist.com. We're always open ears. The more genres we have knowledge of, the better. You just have to look at house music and like the actual exponential spread of different types of house music, to know that it's, ever evolving. So yeah, please just reach out to us and we will give we will do our best to, support as many different genres. The more precise you can be about the genres, the better for us as well. That's something worth considering. So yeah, please, Simon, reach out and we will get back to you, mate.
Awesome, Simon. Thank you for your question. For me as well, Symphony is an easy to use front end for creating meta ads. Is that correct? Can it create content for the ad as well? Uh, it's more than just an easy front end for creating meta ads. We have a lot of other playlist campaigns. We do increase video. We have a lot of not just playlist campaigns. We have a lot of other like marketing campaigns that you can do, pre-saves, website builders, event. You can create event websites. You can create your data collectors, pre-saves with forever saves. You can create, Google ads, increasing video views, and just a bunch of different, it's basically, again, it's an all-in-one marketing tool. Is it also an easy to use front end for creating meta ads? For sure. And it's a big part of it, and it's a big reason why a lot of people enjoy it, because again, meta ads can be super confusing, and I think a lot of our ads that we have, like boost Instagram profile visits, increase music streams, grow playlist followers, increase link clicks. These are all different campaign types on Symphony, and they're all, again, created as if, using 10 plus years of experience from our co-founders and the people here at Symphony. It's really a way where you can, kind of take marketing into your own hands simply without having to, again, do 3-hour YouTube videos on how to run meta ads and not get confused by it. Can it
Oh,
create
yeah.
content for the ad as well? Not right now. That's the one limitation, is you have to create the content yourself for any ads. You have the ability to use Instagram posts to upload your own videos. We do a lot of, again, analytics on the ads themselves. It's obviously something we're thinking at. But at the end of the day, the content thing is kind of hard. That's the one tool, besides honestly marketing and ads, that if you're an artist, you should definitely kind of start to dive into a little bit. I was at a United Masters Select Con last year, and an artist said, I don't like, social media. And one of the, co-founders of United Masters was like, so like, do you just not want to blow up? So, content is one of those things that we don't necessarily give you. But we do give you guides, we do give you examples of content that was used in the past. There are tons of powerful tools like Adobe, Canva, where you can create the ad that I showed you, he created it on Canva, as well, which was really dope. So, that's just the one thing that we don't do yet. But everything else besides the ad creation. But great question, Simon. Great question.
Awesome. Yeah, and also just on I know you were saying about the setup and is it simpler? Just from my own experience, I'm like battling for hours, pulling my hair out. Like, why is this pixel not setting up? Why is it asking me saying I don't have the permissions? But then doing it through Symphony, it just, yeah, it took 2 minutes. So it simplifies everything, honestly.
And I'm
Is it-
I'm so happy we did this partnership too, because again, I would literally tell people, I'm like, you can monetize your own playlist if you create your own playlist too. And like, who better to partner with than people who monetize playlists? Harry, I love daily playlists. I think they do a really dope job. And again, like, streams don't give you that much money. You got to find a million different ways. You got to create real fans, engage super fans, give
Mm.
yourself different ways to monetize, do merch. That's the most, your community is going to support you. We did get one question in the chat. I don't
From
think I missed any
Julia.
others. They said, what do you think about growth playlists with bots? Can I charge for guarantee placements? So I think that's a you question.
Yeah, I think I'll take this one. So thank you for your question, Julian. So what do I think about growth? Um, yeah, growth has to be legit. It has to be careful. You don't ever take any guarantees with growth. I think is the bottom line. There are a lot of dodgy services, and I think, Bo, you probably know all about this as well, who can offer you guaranteed results, whether this is guaranteed results on streaming or guaranteed results on
Do
like
not pay the $5 guy on Fiverr for a million plus streams. That's all I got to
exactly.
say
Do
about
not
that.
do that. Do not do that. And I'm guessing in the world of like performance advertising as well, there's people who say they can like, don't do performance advertising. We can give you like, a guarantee X amount of people are going to convert to like your Facebook page or your Instagram page. None of this is legit. If it's too good to be true, it is. You've got to put in the work to get the results. And playlists with bots, always is this massive shame. I think, there's a really horrible like narrative being spun from some people, in the more on the I guess on the distribution side that all third party playlisting can be or like I think the official wording from Spotify, which is very counterintuitive to say as a platform that runs third party playlisting, is to be very cautious and wary of third party playlisting. And I think this is truly because not enough people or there's not enough education around how to harness it in a
Yep.
positive way because a lot of people, they see artists as someone who were really determined to get the fans in and really driven to get those results. So they know they can dangle the carrot in front of their face and be like, hey, yeah, you pay me this, I'm going to get you this. And it's an easy win for them when they're just taking advantage of, the drive and dedication and just the want to succeed from the artist. So I think in the future, our role as daily playlists, our responsibility is to really educate people how to curate properly and how to look out for playlists with bots and how to, grow and from our side, grow the community that we do have to have as many healthy playlists and curators as possible because there's this extremely beneficial marketing technique and one of the only like in Spotify marketing techniques that isn't owned by Spotify, if that makes sense. You control the playlist. It's not Spotify. It's not an editorial playlist. It's not an AI playlist. It's your playlist that you control and you can put in the input and the output for it. So, the guaranteed placements, the growing like that's my thoughts on growth. The more people who can grow in healthy ways using using communities like daily playlists and then using services and again like the community that's over at Symphony to grow, I think is extremely important. And can you charge for guaranteed placements? I think you got the answer from that, which is an absolute no.
Yeah, it's if the companies you're using aren't taking time to explain to you the positives and the negatives that could be from using. I'm not going to tell you that every ad is going to perform amazingly no matter what. A lot of it relies on content, a lot of it relies on you making sure you're doing the right targeting. But you're working with the right people if they're giving you the tools to set you up for success, and they're not, no money is easy money. And that's really it. It's, again, we can give you as many tools, make it as easy as possible, but at the end of the day, it's nothing's guaranteed. um Besides, you're in your music, and we want to again set you up with the tools for success. And I think that's again why this webinar was so much fun, because it was a perfect combination.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Exactly. One last question coming in from Ed. Will a post call Yeah, you've been recording it, right,
I
Bo?
have been recording it, so we will have this entire webinar.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. We will put it somewhere in either like key moments or full length, or we'll figure it out, Ed. We'll be definitely if you're on the wait, we've spoken a call, I think, Ed. I'm gonna pull up my emails now, but yeah, it'll be sent out on the newsletter. We'll post it about it on social media, like probably where you notice the advertisement of this one. You'll probably